BookBub are renowned for their coveted featured deal advertising package, which to some authors has been dubbed the holy grail of book promotions, and so here I am to explore the results of my latest BookBub featured deal. This video is inspired by a very recent written post you can find via my Patreon, which is packed with exclusive book marketing insight, social media tutorials, and of course, indie book talks. From how I grew to 55,000 Twitter followers, to selling thousands of books around the world, and much more. You can find my best stuff over on Patreon. And so, with that shameless plug out of the way, let us dive into my BookBub featured deal results of 2025. I'm going to cut to the chase here and quickly lay out the details of my featured deal. This relies upon the hopeful probability that you know about BookBub and what a featured deal is. I do have a few videos dedicated to that, which will be linked below, and also, assuming you know the situation, my debut horror book, Open Evening, was featured by BookBub on the 11th of March 2025. For this deal, I chose to run it for 4 days, as opposed to my usual 1 day, and there is method behind this choice. While this might also conflict my usual choice to simply run a 1-day promo, simply because I don't have the energy to talk about my free book for 4 days straight on social media, BookBub offer plenty of resources when it comes to selecting how long you should run a deal for, and based upon looking at those resources, my choice is all about trying to maximize readers, and so I decided to run this featured deal for 4 days in a row. Open Evening is part of a wider occult thriller or horror series, and so the rest of the books in the series were to be discounted in digital during the deal. Open Evening was free to download for 4 days and advertised as that via the featured deal, and the rest of the books, they were 99 cents or equivalent in digital. This helps drive paid sales, as lots of eyes will be on the Amazon product page for Open Evening, and readers might just want to buy the rest of the series at discount. This tactic has worked well for me previously, and will help me move good numbers, and paid sales with a hope they will bring in a certain amount of royalties to pay for the featured deal, which cost $265 in the horror category. Now, another big factor at play here is returning readers buying the sequels later on when they are back up to full price. So with all of that laid out, let us look at the results of this featured deal. Looking at day 1. Seeing as I've run this deal before, it went as expected on the first day, with the majority of units downloaded being for Open Evening, which was into the thousands. Paid downloads for the rest of the series, which were all discounted to 99 cents, saw good numbers also. I've run many different free digital promos before, and so anything over 3,000 free units is considered as good numbers to me. There are some advertisers outside of BookBub who can help achieve this, but there aren't many. So now, let us look at days 2 to 4. The second day of the promo brought in good numbers and some great paid sales for the rest of the books in the series, and by the final day, things kind of tailed off, but let us just look at each day individually. So that first day, of course, had about 3,200 downloads. Most of them were free, but peppered in there were some good 99 cents paid sales for the rest of the books in the series. And then on day 2, there were 1,500 or so downloads, again with some really good numbers for paid sales. And then it began sort of tailing off. We look at the day 3, which was 495 or so, with again some good paid sale numbers, paid digital sales anyway, and discounted. And then we go to the final day, it kind of tailed off. We had a total of 356. Most of them were the free Open Evening, but then you've got a few good numbers there for the rest of the books in the series. And so everything outside of Open Evening's 5,000 downloads were paid units, discounted but paid, and that will contribute towards the fee of this featured deal quite nicely. So looking at day 5 and afterwards, the true strength of any book promotion is measured by sustained sales afterwards, and what happens afterwards. And so here are the full price sales that came in for the rest of March. We have a fair amount of sales for further books in the series, suggesting readers were returning. And all of these sales after the promo were full priced. And as you can see, even Open Evening, which was free that month, achieved 4 paid sales. Also, in that time, my newest release, Last Outlaw, moved my 1 paperback of the month. That is how many I sell on average. Now, this is probably due to a lot of reasons, but mainly because I target digital readers more than any other reader, and to sell 1 paperback is quite good for me. So total sales for March 2025. March began with a discounted promotion for my newest release, Last Outlaw, and you can explore the results of that, which will be linked below. So overall, the units downloaded and going into the hands of readers was pretty good. On average, over a calendar year, and including free promos, I'll aim for around 10,000 units downloaded or sold. So it's great to see that number kind of go over the halfway mark, and we're only into March and April time now. So total paid sales for March is also another metric we should really look at here. And those sort of 5,000 plus free units weren't in vain by any way, shape or form, because 399 paid sales came in for that month. And I think we can all agree that number is incredible. And it's also quite near to my all-time record. Now, most of my all-time record paid sales months involve BookBub featured deals, and I think my third or fourth BookBub featured deal, which I ran in September of 2022, probably takes the cake as the greatest. And so that's sales numbers. Let us look at another metric that should not be overlooked: Kemp page reads. And all of my books are enrolled in Kindle Unlimited, and over the years that has proven to be quite lucrative for royalties, accumulating over time. We're not talking retirement level numbers, but we're talking good enough to put a dent in the fee for this featured deal. And on average, I'll find around 1,000 or so page reads a month when I'm not doing any real big-time advertising. This is driven probably from previous featured deals or previous advertising, and the fact that lots of readers have long TBRs, meaning they eventually get to mine over time. You can kind of pinpoint from the graphic here when the featured deal took place. And so the final score, royalties and reviews, are sort of another big metric we're going to be looking at. And the real measure of any success of any promo is not just the length of time sales are sustained for, but also how much money we made and how many reviews come in thereafter. Reviews being the bone of contention for most of these promotions. Authors really do struggle to find reviews, and if you can find somewhere where readers leave reviews and they leave them regularly, then that's almost worth even taking a loss perhaps. So even though I'm putting this video together some time after the deal, it is still early, but there are royalties and they've come in, and here they are so far since the deal. We aren't that far from the $265 fee, and with a few months of decent paid sales and some Kemp page reads, this could easily break even for me. They normally do after 2 or 3 months. And if we then take a look at the year so far of 2025 and zoom out over time, things are looking quite good financially, and the cost of this deal has been covered. Of course, I have also paid for some other book promotion. I've paid for some other advertising at the start of March, and you can find that video linked below, and that was for Last Outlaw. So we're looking quite good in terms of royalties. I know I do put my books out there for free, but that is to entice paid sales in the long term. It's simply a tactic for me, a tactic that's worked well and a tactic that still works. And so, the metric that really underlines the power of a BookBub featured deal, and it's probably the greatest struggles, as I've just mentioned, is reviews. At the time of the deal, Open Evening had 297 Amazon ratings. In less than a month since the deal, it has grown to this number, and I'd say the fee was worth it to see my book grow by this much. Of course, results are still coming in, and I hope this results analysis was helpful. The decision to run for 4 days as opposed to a shorter time frame really helped bring in paid sales for my other books that were discounted in the series, and having those eyes on the product for an extended amount of time has ended up being a good idea, and it was a good call. And the true power behind these results is having a series and having a backlist. And the more books you release, the more chances you are of selling them, the more things you can do with them with promotion. Again, that's a journey. It's not really a destination. I've been doing this for many years, and I've taken a great amount of pleasure in releasing books for fun, and it's a hobby of mine, and I've done it over time. I didn't rush. I didn't just mass produce my books and put them all out in a year. I staggered it over time. You know, I'm in my 9th year now. I've got 9 releases. I've got my eye on my 10th release probably being a guidebook. And well, speaking of guidebooks, my ambition is to one day see my current guidebook, Consistent Creative Content, featured by BookBub. And believe me, I am constantly applying to them with this book, and they continually say no. But that's what publishing is sometimes. That's what writing is. That's what art is sometimes. You'll get a door in your face. You've got to climb through the window instead. What that means, I don't know, but don't take that literally. Don't go climbing through anybody's window. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Thank you for watching. You will find some resources linked below. Peace out, rock and roll, and reading indie books.